back to Cowboys News TV, your go-to source for everything Dallas Cowboys. Today, we're diving into the state of our roster and why the Cowboys are under fire. After a shocking 3-3 start to the season, fans and analysts are questioning how this team was built and whether they can even make the playoffs. But before we get into the details, do us a huge favor, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. We're so close to hitting our goal of 12,000 subscribers, and your support really helps us grow. Now, let's talk Cowboys. The Cowboys head into their bye week sitting at 3-3, and to say the pressure is mounting would be an understatement. When we return, it doesn't get easier. Next up are the San Francisco 49ers at Levi's Stadium. Cowboys fans, you remember that place, right? Our last two visits didn't go so well, a crushing 42-10 loss last season and a tough 19-12 defeat in the 2022 playoffs. Now, this season has taken a similar downturn, and the big question on everyone's mind is, how did we get here? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear from you. Who do you think is most responsible for the Cowboys' slow start? Is it the players, the coaching staff, or maybe some bad off-season decisions? Let's get a conversation going down there, and I'll feature the best takes in our next video. A lot of the blame for this rocky start stems from how the roster was built in the offseason. It starts at the top with Jerry Jones. In a heated interview on 105.3 The Fan, Jerry was defensive, dismissing any idea that he had made poor decisions. But let's take a closer look at what went down after last season's exit in the playoffs. First, there's the Tony Pollard situation. The Cowboys tried to keep Pollard with a big offer, but he ended up signing with the Tennessee Titans. Meanwhile, Derrick Henry, who lives in Dallas by the way, signed a very affordable 2-year deal with Baltimore. And what does Henry do? He torches us for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns in Week 3. Ouch. Here's a question for you all. If the Cowboys had signed Derrick Henry, would our season look different right now? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to see what the fan base thinks about this missed opportunity. Let's be real, the Cowboys' run game has been a disaster. We re-signed Rico Dowdle, brought Ezekiel Elliott back on a cheaper deal, and signed Dalvin Cook to the practice squad. Yet, we're the worst-ranked rushing offense in the entire NFL, averaging just 77.2 yards per game. Yes, you heard that right, the worst. Dowdle has 246 yards on 59 carries, Elliott only has 115 yards on 38 carries, and Dalvin Cook hasn't even suited up yet. It's clear we're not getting the production we need on the ground. What do you think, Cowboys fans? Should we shake things up in the backfield? Vote in the poll on the screen or sound off in the comments. This is a critical issue we need to address if we want to turn this season around. But the problems don't stop at the running backs. Our offensive line has been struggling, too. The decision not to re-sign Tyron Smith is haunting us. Smith went to the Jets and, while he's not perfect, he's doing better than our rookie Tyler Guyton, who's been flagged 8 times and given up 3 sacks in his first 5 starts. That's a tough learning curve for any young player. At center, we replaced Tyler Biadasz with 3rd-round pick Cooper Beebe, and while Beebe is showing promise, Biadasz has been solid for the Washington Commanders. Another piece we let go. Let's get some predictions in the comments. Do you think Guyton and Beebe will grow into reliable starters, or should we be looking to make moves before the trade deadline? I want to know what you guys think. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, we've been hit hard with injuries. Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler Jr. followed Dan Quinn to Washington, leaving us thin at pass rusher. To make matters worse, Sam Williams tore his ACL in training camp, and our 2nd-round pick, Marshawn Kneeland, is out with a knee injury after just 5 games. Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence are both banged up, and our defensive line looks like a patchwork unit at this point. With the trade deadline approaching, should the Cowboys look for some outside help to fix the defense? Hit the comments and let me know if you think a trade could save this season. So where do we go from here? Jerry Jones has made it clear that he believes in this roster. When asked if this team has the talent to hang with the NFL's best, Jerry simply said, "I do." But the results on the field have us questioning that. The Cowboys are 0-3 at home, outscored by 66 points at AT&T Stadium. If something doesn't change fast, we could be talking about draft positioning by Thanksgiving instead of playoff hopes. Cowboys Nation, do you share Jerry's confidence in this roster? Or is it time to admit that we need some major changes? Let me know in the comments, and while you're there, take a second to subscribe to our channel. We're on a mission to reach 12,000 subscribers, and every bit of support helps. You don't want to miss what we've got coming up. As we look ahead to the rest of the season, the Cowboys have their work cut out for them. With games against playoff-caliber teams like the Eagles, Texans, Falcons, and Commanders, this stretch after the bye will be crucial. One way or another, we'll soon find out if this roster is capable of contending, or if it's time to look toward 2025. The statement, "I just do," from Jerry Jones reflects the stubborn optimism of a general manager who's known for his unwavering confidence in his decisions. But the questions surrounding the Dallas Cowboys roster construction, management, and offseason moves aren't going away anytime soon. With a 3-3 record heading into a brutal stretch of the schedule, the team faces intense scrutiny from fans and media alike. One of the most glaring critiques of the Cowboys offseason was the decision to let key contributors walk without adequately replacing them. The departures of veterans like Tyron Smith, Tyler Biadasz, and Dorrance Armstrong left significant voids on both sides of the ball. While the Cowboys were hopeful that younger players like Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe could step up, it's clear that the team is still dealing with growing pains in those positions. The offensive line, once a strength of the Cowboys, has struggled mightily this season. Injuries to key players like Guyton and Chuma Edoga have compounded the issue, forcing the team to rely on a patchwork line that hasn't been able to protect Dak Prescott or open running lanes for the ground game. This has resulted in one of the worst rushing offenses in the league, a far cry from the days when Ezekiel Elliott and the line were dominating defenses. Defensively, the loss of both Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence to injuries has exposed the Cowboys' lack of depth on the defensive line. Without their star pass rushers, the defense has struggled to generate consistent pressure, leading to big plays and poor performances against teams like the Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers. The injuries to key defensive players, combined with the loss of veterans like Armstrong and Fowler Jr. in free agency, have left the Cowboys scrambling to find answers. Jones has always been a lightning rod for criticism, but after the blowout loss to the Lions, his frustration was on full display during his heated exchange with radio hosts on 105.3 The Fan. His defense of the roster construction and refusal to dwell on the decisions that have backfired this season signal a deep-seated belief that the Cowboys are still capable of turning things around. However, Jones' reluctance to acknowledge the shortcomings of the offseason moves could also be seen as a sign of desperation. By doubling down on his belief in the team's talent, Jones is essentially betting that the Cowboys will find a way to get back on track before the season slips away. Whether that's through internal improvement or a potential trade before the November 5th deadline remains to be seen. With the trade deadline approaching, there's growing speculation about whether the Cowboys will make a move to address their glaring issues. In the past, Jones has shown a willingness to make bold trades, as evidenced by the Amari Cooper deal in 2018. But with limited cap space and significant financial commitments looming in the offseason, the Cowboys are in a tricky position. Would Jones be willing to part with valuable draft capital to bring in reinforcements for a roster that, so far, has not lived up to its potential? The Cowboys front office has been hesitant to make splash moves in recent years, opting instead to build through the draft and sign mid-tier free agents. But with the team teetering on the edge of mediocrity, a trade for a top-tier player could provide the spark needed to reignite their playoff hopes. One area of need is the defensive line, where the Cowboys are lacking the depth and playmaking ability to withstand the absence of Parsons and Lawrence. The recent acquisitions of players like Carl Lawson and KJ Henry have been stopgap measures, but the team needs a more impactful addition to compete with the likes of the 49ers, Eagles, and Texans in the coming weeks. Wide receiver is another position that could use an upgrade. While CeeDee Lamb has been solid, the lack of production from Brandon Cooks and the inconsistent play of Michael Gallup have hampered the Cowboys' passing attack. A trade for a veteran receiver, much like the Jets' acquisition of Davante Adams, could help Dak Prescott and the offense regain their footing. As the Cowboys head into their Week 7 bye, they have a critical window to assess their options and make adjustments. With a brutal schedule ahead, starting with a trip to San Francisco, the margin for error is razor-thin. If the Cowboys can't right the ship in the coming weeks, the playoffs may become an afterthought, and the focus could shift to the 2025 NFL Draft. The upcoming games against playoff-caliber teams will serve as a litmus test for the Cowboys' aspirations. If they can find a way to win some of these tough matchups, they could position themselves as a legitimate contender. But if they continue to struggle, questions about the team's leadership, roster construction, and long-term direction will only grow louder. Jerry Jones' belief in the roster is clear, but belief alone won't be enough to save the Cowboys' season. The team must perform on the field, and that starts with addressing the shortcomings that have plagued them through the first 6 games. In addition to the roster criticism, the coaching staff has also come under fire. Mike McCarthy's job security has been a hot topic ever since the embarrassing loss to the Lions. While Jerry Jones has publicly backed McCarthy, comparisons to past midseason coaching changes, like the firing of Wade Phillips in 2010, have been circulating. McCarthy's handling of in-game decisions and overall leadership will be under the microscope as the Cowboys navigate this difficult stretch of the season. Meanwhile, the front office's decisions over the past few off-seasons have left fans questioning whether the Cowboys have maximized their Super Bowl window. Letting go of key contributors while banking on younger, unproven players has backfired so far, and the lack of a consistent run game or dominant pass rush has made the Cowboys a middle-of-the-pack team rather than a contender. With the trade deadline just weeks away, the Cowboys face a critical juncture. Will Jerry Jones and the front office be aggressive in fixing the roster's weaknesses, or will they continue to rely on the current group to turn things around? The next few games will likely determine the course of the Cowboys season and, potentially, the future of the franchise's leadership. One thing is certain, the pressure is mounting in Dallas, and the clock is ticking. That's all for today's video, Cowboys Nation. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates as we continue to cover all the latest Cowboys news. Let's see if we can hit that 12,000 subscriber mark together. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.